For the second question, we will be comparing and contrasting MHC. What does MHC stand for? It stands for Major Histocompatibility Complex, which consists of linked set of genetic loci encoding many of the proteins involved in antigen presentation to the T cells. So what they do is they bring everything there is to the T cells for the T cells to understand what they are. The proteins involved in antigen presentation to the T cells. So basically that's what they are. There are two classes of MHC. There's class 1 and class 2. They are called glycoproteins, but they are also known as MHC molecules. They present the peptides to the T cell receptors, and that's what they do. So now we are going to compare and contrast the differences between them. For comparing and contrasting, I had to write it down in a bullet type thing. So I'm going to have to kind of read off of it. It just makes it a lot easier. For MHC class 1 and MHC class 2, the compare and contrast. MHC class 1 is present on the surface of all nucleated cells. For class 2, we see them present on the surface of an antigen presenting cells such as macrophages, B cells, and dendritic cells. Secondly, they are mainly, for class 1, they are mainly interacted with cytotoxic cells, T cells, and for class 2 cells, they interact with T cells as well. So we have the cytotoxic T cells for class 1 and T cells for class 2. We then have how they encode. They are encoded by HLA-A for class 1, along with HLA-B and HLA-C. For class 2, we have encoding by HLA-D genes. So there's a lot more in class 1 than class 2. It's more broad. We then have class 1 consisting of two non-identical chains, a long alpha chain and a short beta chain. For class 2, we have two roughly identical chains, an alpha chain and a beta chain as well. So very identical in class 2, very non-identical in class 1. We then have for class 1 an alpha chain that is encoded, alpha chain that is coded by MHC locus of chromosome 6, a beta chain which is encoded with or by a chromosome 15. We then have class 2. Class 2 is encoded by the MHC locus of chromosome 6. We then see for class 1, it is responsible for the graft rejection and clearance of endogenous antigens. For class 2, we have it as responsible for graft rejection and clearance of exogenous antigens. For class 1, we have endogenous. For class 2, we have exogenous. What class 1 does is it helps immune system in recognizing self cells from non-cells. It degrades of the antigen. We also have it as is rejection of transplanted organs. For class 2, it helps the immune system in recognizing self cells and non-cells. So that is a similarity, which is the same thing in between the both of them. Helper T cells recognizes antigens bound to MHC. So that's for class 2. And we also have them responsible for rejection of transplanted organs too. So that is another similarity between both of them.